Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Mac and Creeps. I've got a pretty long commentary here. If you want to listen to it, you can. If not, I'm going to put the timestamp on where to skip to for the actual story and things. Today, I'm just at a loss because I did have a lot of plans for this particular chapter, and it seems like everything's working against me. And a lot of this is by my own doing. I've made several mistakes this week. I've made some bad choices this week. So I can't blame it on anything particularly. It's just these are difficult times, I guess, for me right now. With everything I've got going on at work. And then I did have a hard burnout on this because I've been putting so much time into these videos. So I had a pretty hard burnout, and I just had to put it down. I ended up stepping back from everything for I don't know, too long. I've got these audios recorded. I wanted to interview some people and things, but schedules and just everything's going against me right now. It's got me very curious about what's going on behind the scenes, out of the blue, you know. So this video is not even going to be a fraction as good as what I had hoped it to be. I was really excited about this because this was a blatant incident that occurred, and it was a big cover-up. And I don't know, if Mac and Creeps takes off and gets big, I'll even do a documentary about this because it is very intriguing. As of right now, I'm recording this audio basically the day of. I'll be posting this audio tonight. As of right now, it looks like I'm not going to be able to get my mother's interview. I mean, I try to make it even as simple as possible and just like, hey, can I just get some audio? Because the way that my mom tells this, she was the one who took it all in because I had to go to, work. I mean, you'll see in the story. I'm so frustrated right now, and I'm more frustrated at myself. I did need a break. I needed to take a step back because I was getting so burnt out on everything that I pretty much sacrificed any kind of life, and I was the solitude was really getting to me. So I spent some time with friends this weekend. I guess I had you could call a date. I guess I tried to have a little bit of a life over the weekend and just take a step back from everything, and it was just a horrible time to do that. I thought that I would be able to do better under pressure, honestly, because I have done a couple videos under pressure, and I like the way that they turned out. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the video, the actual visuals of this. I mean, the audio is going to be there, right? The audio book is going to be there, but the actual video, I don't have the animations. I don't have the things that I want. I don't have it put together. I'm going to work so hard today to try and get as much done as possible. While I'm on the topic of spaceships, I should bring up two significant spaceship events during my teenage years. The first one my family is familiar with because of the strange circumstances surrounding it. I was 15 at the time of this first memory. I know this because I got a job at McDonald's the day after my 15th birthday. I hadn't been working there long before this event took place. I was lying in bed awake. It was the middle of the night. I had been having trouble sleeping because I kept dreaming about getting people their orders at McDonald's. I hear a loud rumbling sound over the house. It's the typical sound of a ship, but something is off. I hear something like a rocket blast ignite. Following the blast, I hear a loud whistling sound, mixed with the sound of a turbine from a jet engine. The sound heads towards the creek. I hear a loud explosion in the distance. I jump to my window and jerk a gap in the blinds. Off in the distance, above the old cattle field, I see an orange glow. "No way!" I said out loud, despite being alone. I stared at the glow for a long time, or so it seems. I have no recollection of lying back down. But one moment I am staring at a fiery spaceship crash. The next moment I am opening my eyes to the sound of my Marvin the Martian alarm clock ringing. Blue morning light is shining through the blinds. This is one of the few times I experienced lost time, by the way. I jumped to the window expecting to see pillars of smoke rising from the forest, but I don't see anything but frost. Frost is everywhere. I roll out of bed and get dressed for work. My dad is already downstairs making coffee. He is my ride to work. After getting ready for work, I go into my parents' room. I tell my mother about the spaceship crash. I tell her with a very matter-of-fact tone. I'm actually overzealous about it. I'm confident that there was a crash last night. As I leave for work with my father, I scan the forest. I ask him to take the long, isolated trip out of the subdivision so I can scan the hillside beyond the creek. I tell him I think a plane crashed in the night. I never talk to my dad about spaceships. I don't see anything but a super thick frost everywhere. When I get home that afternoon, there are new additions around the huge open area of our neighborhood. Between the complexes and the creek are huge grassy fields with huge trees sprinkled throughout them. Basically, undeveloped land with a road going around it in a box shape. Scattered throughout the fields are white PVC poles with bright orange caps. The poles are sticking up from the ground. These poles are brand new. My mother tells me after I had left for work, a bunch of men showed up. She said they were dressed like construction workers. They drove yellow trucks with steel boxes on the back. The boxes appeared to have barred windows going around them. The trucks were spaced apart and parked down by the creek. My parents drove around the big square to investigate, like I had my father do that morning. My mother told me how odd the men looked. She explained how they tried to wave at the men, but the men just stared back, emotionless. The men were in and out in just a few hours. The only thing they left behind was poles sticking up. That following summer, a friend and myself took the cap off one of the poles. There was a few wires in the cap, but the pole was empty. It basically looked useless. A couple of those poles are still sticking up out of the ground today. So was the men showing up some strange coincidence, or was this a bona fide cover-up? I cannot answer that. I can just give you the testimony and let you decide. My opinion on the matter is something happened for sure, and that something cannot be explained as easy as other things. I do recall alien traffic slowing down for a while after that. My next spaceship encounter wouldn't come until I was 17. And I have to say, this craft takes the top prize for scaring the crap out of me. So because I was unable to get my mother's interview, I'm going to talk about kind of how she explained it to me. So, she was already alerted to what was going on, because as soon as I got up, I went in there and I told her. So she was already aware that something happened. My mom believed me, right? So she was aware that something happened. And then when these odd construction type trucks showed up down by the creek, and they were just, you couldn't really tell what they were doing. According to her, it wasn't like they were working. It was strange to her because she knew that there was something going on beyond where you couldn't see, but there was these trucks spaced out. And I guess I'm going to try and draw a quick picture or Google it and see if I can find what the trucks look like. And also the PVC poles, I'm going to try and figure that out. Maybe somebody watching this knows what these are. I mean, are they a gas detection thing or something? Were they trying to pass this off as like a gas line explosion? I do know one of the strangest things to me, it was so frustrating because I wanted to see everything. I wanted to look out and see if there was anything like a big piece of steel laid out somewhere or something. But it was the first frost. And that's another thing about the animations and the videos. During this time, it would have probably been around November. So the leaves on the trees, the forested area, you still couldn't see through the forest, but there was not that many leaves on the trees and stuff. But the ground was covered in such a thick frost, it looked like snow. And it wasn't snow. There was just this white substance everywhere. And it was so frustrating to me. I was like, man, I want to see, but everything is just covered in this frost. I mean, it was so thick. So you couldn't really see anything. And then, I had to go to work. And it was the strangest thing. I remember that day because I was homeschooled. And when you go to work as a minor, you can't work for more than a few hours. So I wasn't going to be gone that long. But on that very day, for whatever reason, like somebody had contacted the manager that ran my McDonald's that I was working at. Somebody had contacted him, and he came to me and he's like, oh, I'm going to have you work 8 hours today. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I found out you're homeschooled, so I can work you 40 hours a week. And I mean, looking back on that, I just think it's strange. Like, of all days, I was really wanting to get back home so I could investigate this. And of all days, my manager comes and tells me I'm going to be there all day that day. And then while I'm there that day, all these strange men come in, do something down at the creek. Whenever they leave out there, they leave these useless PVC poles. Like, there was nothing to these poles. They were empty. They had just kind of been driven into the ground. And in the orange part of the pole was this little circuit board thing or something. It was like just useless. And it was just decrepit and pointless. Now, when I just went back over there to get the footage for this stuff, there's not a single pole around. Nothing. And that was frustrating. It was so frustrating because I knew there was like one pole that's been over there. When I was writing the book, there was still a pole. And now that my book's out, that final pole that was there is gone. Just had a really weird experience just now recording this. Like, really weird. It's like there was like a poof. Even my headphones kind of floated up. But anyway, yeah, the PVC pole, it's gone. So I know something happened that night. I know it. And my mom said that she waved at a man. They tried to be friendly with this man, and he just stared at her, like with the strangest expression, and didn't wave, didn't smile or nothing. Just stared at them. And these trucks were, unlike any trucks you'd ever see around the city. And they were like, they had boxes on the back with barred windows. The windows had like bars going around them. Tinted windows, bars going around them. I mean, if anybody knows about this stuff, maybe they can say what the kind of truck was, but it's one of those like trucks with a big door on the back and you could walk into the backs of them. I don't know. It was very strange. And, later on we might come back to this because this video is not nearly as good as what I wanted it to be. I don't know where I'm going to put this at in the video. I'm just doing a bunch of audio clips right now. Something happened, and I guess we'll never know for sure. But I do think that a ship crashed or a ship exploded or something. And these men were some part of some recovery and deception type thing. And they come down there because if anybody did hear the explosion aside from me or whatever, they were there to make it seem like there was maybe a gas line explosion or something. But it was very co-op, very secretive. They come down and they weren't there but 4 or 5 hours, left, never came back. Never seen them ever again. Never seen them before, never seen them after. You have been listening to Mac and Creeps. This is the story, Aliens, Monsters, and the Supernatural. A true story of a terrorized life.